Hi everyone, welcome to Sweet Pea Sits Inspirations. My name is Sydney and today I'm going to be working on the revised part for part 1 of the Pretty Please with Cherry on Top shawl. I am deeply sorry for any of those who have may have been confused in part 1 and having to watch part 2. I am very sorry. So in today's video, I'm going to be starting off completely from scratch. Now, I will not be working the whole shawl with you due to how long it's going to be and so on, so forth. But I will be working a little bit further than what I did in part 1 so that you can actually get the grasp of how we're increasing and the sequence that we are using. So the shawl is a triangle shaped shawl. And the little dot right here that you see is the starting point of our shawl. Now, along this top edge, which will go either on your back or around your neck, depending on how you're going to wear the shawl, this long point is going to be where we start and end our rows. So with that being said, it is going to go at a point downward, even though we are constantly going to be increasing. Now, this line right here that I have drew in the middle, that is our center point, and that is where we actually start our increases. So there is going to be a 4-row sequence throughout this tutorial that you will be working on. Now I want to go over the sequence real quick and show you exactly what I mean by a sequence. So most of the time I will explain this as a 4-row repeat, but I do not want that to get stuck in your head because we are doing a 4-row repeat, but it's more in a sequence than actually, just a 4-row repeat, as if you were to do in a flat. So, for example, our sequence is going to be, so what I mean by sequence is this section right here. Sorry, you can't really see that, but this is the sequence right here. So our very first row is going to be a double crochet with chain 3s on both sides. Now for the second row, we are going to work a 4 double crochet into the chain right before the double crochet from the previous row with a chain 1, and then we will skip that double crochet, and in the chain that is after that double crochet, we are going to work another 4 double crochets into that same space. That is the second sequence, or second row of the sequence. And that, depending on what kind of chains you do after that, is going to determine the previous row. And then we are going to, in that chain 1 for the 3rd row sequence, we are going to place 5 double crochets into that space, and then over top of that row we are going to, for the next row, which is the 4th row sequence, we are going to place 7 chains over top of that. So that is the sequence. Again, the first row sequence is a double crochet with chain 3s, the 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets on both sides of the double crochet from the first row, and then the 5 double crochets into that chain 1 space, and then the 7 chains. So that is our sequence right there. And like I said, with us constantly increasing, you really have to pay attention of what you're doing and what stitches come next, because it's always going to be changing. Now for the most part, it does kind of line up with each other. You just want to make sure that you are mimicking one side with the other side, so both sides really need to look the exact same, and you want to pay attention to that. So I'm going to go ahead and move this, and we will start from scratch at the starting point. Again, I won't do the whole shawl with you, but I will work several rows with you so that you can kind of get the hang of it. So the yarn that I used in that shawl was Hobbi's Sultan Pastello, which was in a sport weight. You can use whatever kind of sport weight that you would like. Now, the hook that I used originally in the shawl was a 4mm. You can use whatever you would like. I do highly recommend using a sport weight, or I would really go no further than a DK weight. And even a DK weight might be a little too heavy for the shawl because you want it to be a little lacy and drapey. So I would definitely recommend a sport weight. Really no further than that. But if you would like to use a DK, maybe a lighter DK, you can. So we are going to start off with a chain of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we are going to work into that very first chain that we made. So the remaining chains are going to count as a double crochet and then a chain 3. Now if you would like to, you can also use the magic circle method. I personally do not like the magic circle method, but you can use it if you would like. But if you do use the magic circle, you will have to chain 6. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go into that very first chain, and we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. So once you have your 4 double crochets, we are going to chain 1. We're going to place another 4 double crochets into that same space. So what we're doing right here is the start of our middle section where this will not change throughout the pattern. So once you always get to the middle section of your shawl, you are always going to do a 4 double crochet, chain 1, 4 double crochets into that chain 1 space. So then we are going to chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Now we are going to go back into that same space and place a double crochet into that stitch. So that is row 1. For row 2, we are going to chain 3. Go ahead and turn your work, and into that double crochet, we are going to place 3 double crochets into that space. So 1, 2, and 3. Now that chain 3 that we made at the beginning, that is going to count as a stitch. So now we are going to go into the next chain 3, and we are going to go into the center chain, which is the second chain, and we are going to place a before we even do that, we need to do a chain 3. So you'll have your chain 3 that we started off with, which counts as a stitch, and then your 3 double crochets, a chain 3, and then now we can go ahead and go into that middle chain, which is the second, and go ahead and place a double crochet into that space. And then we can chain 3 again. So now we are back at our center, and we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. Chain 1 and 4 double crochets. So now whatever we did on one side, we must do on the other side. So you need to chain 3, and we're going to skip these 4 double crochets from the previous row, and now we have a chain 6 here. We are going to remember that chain 6 counts as a double crochet and then a chain 3. So we're going to go into that second chain and place a double crochet. Go ahead and chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to go into the top of that chain 3 that counts as a double crochet and place 4 double crochets into that space. So for row number 3, we are going to start off with a chain 3. Go ahead and turn your work, and in that very first double crochet, again the chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet, but into that chain or that double crochet from the previous row, we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. We are going to chain 3. We're going to skip these 3 double crochets here, and we are going to go into that chain right before that double crochet, and we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. So again, go into the chain right before that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. Go ahead, chain 1. We're going to skip that double crochet, and we are going to go into the chain right after that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. We are going to go ahead and chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Now we're back at the middle, and we are going to place 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets, all into that chain 1 space. So again, whatever we did on one side, we must do to the other. We're going to go ahead and chain 3. And then we're going to go into the chain right before that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. We are going to now chain 1, go ahead and skip that double crochet, and in the next chain go ahead and place 4 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3. So now we are going to skip these 4 double crochets, and we're going to go into that chain 3 and place 5 double crochets into that top of the chain 3. So that was row number 3, and real quick I just want to kind of share with you guys what we have done so far. So we have already done the first row of the sequence, the second row of the sequence, and now we are about to do the third row of the sequence. But our edge stitches, we've already done the 3 rows of the sequence. So the first row was that double crochet, and then the second row, how we started off was with a chain of 3 and then the 3 double crochets, which would be, once you got to the end, would be 4 double crochets. And then the third sequence for our edge was the chain 3 and then the 4 double crochets into that chain 3 space, ending off with 5 double crochets. And now for the fourth row, we are going to do a chain of 1, which is going to count as a single crochet, and then we are going to chain 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and turn your work. So now we are going to, that might have actually been chain 3, so you would have a 4 chain here, but you can chain 5 if you need to. So now we are going to skip these 5 double crochets. We are going to go into the middle of the chain, and we are going to place a double crochet into the middle. So now we are back onto that first row of the sequence. Again, we are going to chain 3, and we're going to skip these 4 double crochets, and we are going to go into that chain 1 space and go ahead and place 5 double crochets into that space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go ahead, chain 3 again. We're going to go to the next chain of 3, and we are going to place a double crochet into that space. So again, that is the starting of our sequence, and go ahead and chain 3. So now we are back at the middle of our shawl, and we are going to place a 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets. So once you have gotten your middle completed, whatever we did on one side, we must do on the other side. So we are going to chain 3. We're going to skip these 4 double crochets. We're going to go to the chain 3, and in the middle of the chain 3, we're going to place a double crochet, chain 3. And now we're going to go into that chain 1 space between the 4 double crochets and place 5 double crochets. We're going to go ahead and chain 3. Go into the next chain of 3 into that middle chain and place a double crochet, chain 3, and now we are at the end. So we are going to skip these 4 double crochets, go into the top of that chain 3 and place a single crochet. Now we are on row 5, so go ahead and chain 3. That is going to count as a double crochet, and then we are going to chain an extra 3, so chain a total of 6. Go ahead and turn your work, and we are going to go into the chain right before that double crochet and place a double crochet or 4 double crochets into that space. chain 1. We're going to skip that double crochet, and we are going to go into that chain right after the double crochet and place 4 double crochets. And then now, since we have done this 5 double crochet, we are now on the 4th row of the sequence, and we are going to chain a total of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now we are going to go to that first chain, or that chain right before the double crochet, and place a 4 double crochet. Go ahead and chain 1. We're going to skip this double crochet and go into the next chain right after that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. And now we are going to chain 3. And we are back at our middle, so we are going to place a double crochet, or 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets into that chain 1. Go ahead and chain 3. So again, whatever we did on one side, we must do on the other. So we are going to go to the chain right before that double crochet and place 4 double crochets into that stitch. Chain 1 and skip that double crochet, and now we are going to go into that chain right after the double crochet and place 4 double crochets into that space. I want to make a note real quick, and I should have probably said this a little bit earlier, but when you are placing those 4 double crochets, you want to make sure that you are going into that chain stitch and not underneath the chain, because if we go underneath the chain, it's going to pull in any direction, and we want it to kind of stack on top of those double crochets. So now that we have gotten to this 5 double crochet from the previous row, we are going to chain 7. So again, that chain of 7 is always going to be over top of these 5 double crochets. So now we are going to go to the chain, or the stitch right before the double crochet, and place 4 double crochets into that space. Chain 1 and 4 double crochets into the next chain right after that double crochet. And then now we are going to chain 3. So where we did that chain 1 from the previous row and then the chain of 3 or 4. We're going to go into that very first chain and go ahead and place a double crochet into that space. So that was row number 5, and we have already worked all the way through the 4 rows of the sequence. And I just want to kind of give you guys an example real quick of what we are exactly doing with increasing, because it's kind of hidden during this pattern. So we have already, like I stated, worked the 4 rows of the sequence. Now I'm going to give you an example of row number 3 and row number 4 if you would like to look at those with me. So in row number 3, we are working on the second row of our sequence, which is the 4 double crochets, the chain 1, 4 double crochets. Now when we go to row number 4, where we have this chain 3 here, we are now working on the first row of the sequence again. So that is how we are going to be increasing. So that row 1 starts the sequence, the 4 row sequence over again. So that's kind of an example of what we are going to be doing throughout this pattern. You really want to be mindful of your stitches and where to place your stitches and what row of the sequence you are on, or what's going to be coming next. So we'll go ahead and continue to row number 6. So we have this double crochet here, which is the first row of our sequence. Now we are going to start row number 6. So we are going to start off with a chain of 3. Go ahead and turn your work, and into that double crochet we are going to place 3 double crochets into that space. So that chain 3 does count as a stitch. So if you were to count that double crochet, you would have 4 stitches there. And now we are going to chain 3. And we are going to go into the chain 3 from the previous row, go into that middle chain and place a double crochet. Chain 3, and now we're going to go into that chain 1 and place 5 double crochets into that space. Go ahead and chain 3, and now we are at that chain of 7. So in the 4th chain we are going to place a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that chain 4 should be your center, and go ahead and place a double crochet into that space. So again, we are starting our sequence over of the 4 rows. And go ahead and chain 3, and now we are going to go to that chain 1 and place 5 double crochets into that space. And now we are going to chain 3. And we are going to go to the next chain 3, go into that center chain and place a double crochet. So after you have that double crochet made, you are going to chain 3, and now we are going to be at the center. So we are going to place a 4 double crochet, chain 1, four double crochets, and now whatever we do on one side we must do to the other. So we are going to chain 3. We're going to go to the chain 3 of the previous row and go into that middle chain and place a double crochet. Go ahead and chain 3, and now we're going to go into that chain 1 between the 4 double crochets, and we are going to place 5 double crochets into that chain 1 space. Now we are going to chain 3, and we are going to find that middle chain, which should be the chain of 4. Go ahead and place a double crochet and then chain 3. Now we're going to go into the chain 1 and place 5 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3. We're going to go into that chain of 3 and place a double crochet into that middle chain. Go ahead and chain 3. And now we are going to go into that very first chain that we made, or we're going to go into the top of the double crochet, or the chain 3 that counted as a double crochet, and we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. Now, so that was row number 6. For row number 7, go ahead and chain 3. Again, that is going to count as a double crochet. Turn your work, and now in that first double crochet, we are going to place 4 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3. Go into the chain right before that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. Chain 1. Skip that double crochet and go into the next chain and place 4 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 7. So that chain of 7 is always going to be over top of that 5 double crochet. After the chain of 7, we are going to go to the chain right before the double crochet and place 4 double crochets. Chain 1, and then go into the next chain after that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. And now where there is this 5 double crochets, we are going to chain 7. And then into the chain right before that double crochet, we are going to chain or place 4 double crochets. chain 1, and then in the next chain go ahead and place 4 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3, and now we are at the center of our shawl, so go ahead and place 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3, so whatever we do on one side we must do to the other. So now we are going to go into the chain right before that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. Chain 1, skip that double crochet and go into the next chain and place 4 double crochets. Now over top of the 5 double crochets we are going to place 7 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, we are always going to place a chain of 7 over top of the 5 double crochets. And now right before the double crochet we are going to place 4 double crochets. Go ahead, chain 1, and then go into the next chain after that double crochet and place 4 double crochets. Now we're going to do a chain of 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So over top of that 5 double crochets. And now we're going to go into the chain right before that double crochet and place 4 double crochets into that space. Chain 1, skip that double crochet and place 4 double crochets into that space. And then chain 3, and now we are going to go into that chain 3 from the previous row and place 5 double crochets into that space. So that was row number 7, and real quick I just want to kind of go over exactly what we're doing. So as you see, we have already done a few of our sequences as we are increasing. So again, our first row of the sequence is the double crochet with the chain 3, and then around the double crochet we have the 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets. So that is the second row sequence. And then we have the 5 double crochets in that chain 1 space, and then over top of the 5 double crochets we have that chain of 7. So how we are increasing is right before and right after we get to the middle of our into the middle of our shawl. Sorry, I realized you guys couldn't see that. So we're always going to be increasing right here. So hopefully you guys by now have already picked up exactly how we're increasing and what we're doing. So you are going to go ahead and continue repeating those rows for a total of 27. I'm going to go ahead and do row 8 with you guys real quick, and then after that I'll leave you guys be. By the time this tutorial comes out, part number 2 should already be out. If not, part number 2 does come out on February 11th of 2024 at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So row 8 real quick. We are going to start off with a chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can do a chain of 5 depending on how tight your stitches are, but you can do a chain of 4 or a chain of 5. Go ahead and turn your work, and now we are going to go into that chain 3 from the previous row and go ahead and place a double crochet. Go ahead and chain 3, and then now we are into that chain 1 space, so we are going to place 5 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3, and now we are in that chain of 7, so we are going to place a double crochet right into the middle of that chain, and then we are going to chain 3. Now we are at that chain 1 space and place 5 double crochets into that space. Go ahead and chain 3. So again, we are at that chain of 7, so go ahead and place a double crochet into that chain 4, chain 3. We are back at that chain 1, so go ahead and place 5 double crochets. Chain 3, and now we are at that chain 3, and we are going to place a double crochet into that chain of 3, chain 3 again. So now we are at the center of our shawl, and we are going to place a 4 double crochet, chain 1, 4 double crochet into that chain 1 from the previous row. So again, whatever we do on one side, we must do to the other. So we are going to chain 3. We're going to go into the chain 3 of the previous row and place a double crochet, chain 3. And now we are at a chain 1 space, so we are going to place 5 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3, and now we are at a chain of 7, so into that 4th chain, go ahead and place a double crochet, chain 3, and now we are at a chain 1 space, so we are going to place 5 double crochets. now we are going to chain 3, and we are going to go into that chain of 7, go into the 4th chain and place a double crochet, chain 3. Now we are at a chain 1 space, so we are going to place 5 double crochets, and now we are going to chain 3, go into the next chain of 3 from the previous row and place a double crochet into that middle chain, chain 3, and now in that chain 3 from the previous row that we started off with, go ahead and place a single crochet into that stitch. So hopefully you guys again have gotten the hang of exactly what we're doing and the sequence and how we are increasing. I'm going to also attach a diagram to this video so that you guys can also see exactly how the sequence and how we're increasing, to give you guys a visual. But go ahead and continue increasing and working your sequence rows for a total of 27. Now how I counted mine was I went by the middle of the shawl, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we've already done 8 rows. Go ahead and continue until you have a total of 27. If you would like to continue increasing, you can do that. I kind of go over in part 2 on how to get the multiple for our trim work. So if you would like to go more than 27 rows, you can do so, but I do go over the multiple in part number 2. So I want to thank again those who have stepped forward to let me know that the original part 1 was a little confusing. Hopefully this one made a lot more sense to you guys, and if you do have any more questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me or even ask down in the comment section. I am more than willing to help you guys. Again, there is also going to be a diagram attached to this video or on this video. If not, you can also find that in my community page. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys for the next tutorial.